we're going to go to week 1. And we're going to look at the syllabus. And I'm guessing this should be around page 20. That's the journal article critique. So page 21, the literature review instructions. Okay. So with a partner or by yourself, you'll complete a literature review. Now, remember, a literature review is part of your final paper, but it's the largest part. It's the longest part. So once you get past this, I would say 2/3 of your paper will be completed. So this assignment will also serve as an assessment of your APA writing ability. Your topic must be improved by the instructor prior to the beginning of the assignment, and we all have your topics and we discuss them in class. You'll investigate an instructor-approved counseling-related topic and write a lit review. So you have to include at least 12 peer-reviewed journal articles. Some of them should be recent, but like I told you in class, there may be some good articles that are older than 5 to 7 years. So ignore that part. I'd like a couple of them to be recent, but some of them can be older than 5 to 7 years. That's fine. But you already have your 12 journal articles, and you've already done your article critique, or you're working on it now for 1 or 2 of those journal articles. These articles, and you've already got your references completed. These articles should be quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods. We talked about all those in class. They should include research studies. So you will write an 8 to 10 page lit review summarizing and synthesizing what you learned from completing the references. You should be able to identify patterns from your annotated bibliography, and these can serve as headings for your lit review. Well, I just had you write a reference page. It did not have to be annotated, but you did write 1 or 2 article critiques. Okay, so when it says 8 to 10 pages, the title page counts as a page, and the references count as a page, and the abstract counts as a page. That's 3 pages right there. But what I want to explain to you is that it should be a minimum of 7 or 8 content pages, and it could be 10 to 11 pages that includes title page, references, and abstract, because that's 3 pages right there. So we want about 7 or 8 well-written content pages. We want it to be a total of 10 or 11 pages, including title page, references, and abstract. So, and this is just the lit review. This is not the final paper. Some students ask, can it be longer? Heck yeah, it can be as long as you want. I just don't want it to be shorter. That is the minimum amount of pages. Okay. APA writing style. It could be the 6th or 7th edition. It should have a title page. It should have appropriate in-text citations. If you include something in the references, it needs to be cited somewhere in your lit review. And by cited, it could be paraphrased with a citation, put in your own words with a citation, but you have to tell us where you got it, that idea from. It could be quoted and cited, but I don't want long, paragraph-long quotes. A sentence or two, maybe a few statistics, short citations. The goal is not to cite a paragraph of somebody else's writing. Most of this should be your writing or your paraphrasing, a study you looked at, an article you looked at. Okay. At least one direct quote from an article with appropriate in-text citation in the lit review section. So we do want you to have at least one quotation, but once again, not a paragraph, couple sentences at the most. Okay. A reference for each citation or article that you used. You should already have 12 in your reference sheet. Okay, so we do have a rubric of the required components, and we do have a research design, but I want to go over the one that I included myself. So I'm going to go to content, week 1, and here we have research final paper outline. This is going to be your guideline for all of your headings, not only for the lit review, but for your entire paper. And you can actually use these headings if you'd like, and just make them applicable, add a couple words so that they're applicable to your topic. So we have title, that's a title page. Okay, we have the abstract, what's your article about, 1 paragraph. We have the problem that you're going to address, the population, who are you going to help? What is their issue? What's going on with them? You can draw something from it, the DSM, but don't cut and paste an entire page from the DSM, put it in your own words, or maybe quote a couple sentences. The significance of the problem, we talked about this. So we talked about the quantitative, qualitative impact on quality of life. Maybe it's both. But you should be able to cite some journal articles that talk about numbers, that talk about quality of life and how it affects people, or maybe both. So all of this is going to be included with what you hand in the lit review, down to the end of the lit review. Okay. Now, the lit review is going to be the longest part of this. I would say, abstract's a paragraph on its own page, title page is its own page. Problem and issue, that could be about 1 to 2 paragraphs. Significance of the problem, 1 to 2 paragraphs. And then the lit review is the rest of the paper except for the 1 page of references. Okay, so lit review, you're going to have an introductory paragraph that talks about what your literature review is going to present. I always begin the lit review with a history of the issue. How long has this issue been occurring? Did it start was it discovered by a certain individual, like Tourette's syndrome was discovered by Dr. Tourette? And he was working at the University of Paris in France, and he came up with the first diagnosis. And there were some really old-fashioned treatments that never worked. It was a misunderstood diagnosis until recently. What causes it? We really don't understand everything that causes it, but there's some journal articles that talk about what causes this issue. And it could be any issue, whatever your topic is. What are the implications of this issue with people's lives in the current day? How does it affect individuals? And this is more of a narrative discussion than a discussion you had on the significance of the problem. Okay, and then we go into your research questions, and some of these will be longer answers than others. The longest one should be what has been done, what has been tried already. That should be what most of your studies are about. Most of your journal articles should about what's been done, because that's what they're looking at, things that they tried, things that have been done. So this should be the longest section. And if you're going to include different theories in your model, which you'll write about later, every theory should be talked about in the lit review to some degree. So let's say you want to talk about 3 theories because you're going to create a comprehensive model later, and you're going to include those 3 theories later. So think about what theories you've read about in your journal articles that you like, and what you'd like to include in your comprehensive model, and make sure that in each one of these sections you address those theories that you're going to use. Most of them have probably been tried before. Then the next part is, which ones worked the best? What has worked the best so far to help this population? And some of your journal articles should show that their studies have worked to some degree. They may not be perfect, but they helped some people to some degree. What hasn't worked? This is going to be your shortest section. And remember, these are subtitles in your lit review, research questions, and then you're going to have these subtitles you're going to write under each one. What has been done? That should be a couple pages. What has worked? That could be a couple pages. What hasn't worked might only be a paragraph, because people don't publish what has not worked. The only way you're going to find this is 2 ways. One, they look at history. And a lot of things in a historical journal article talks about things from the past that really weren't suitable for the topic, or they didn't help people. In fact, they might have hurt some people. A crazy example might be ice water baths, leeches, solitary confinement, things like that. But you never know what you're going to find. It could be medicines that didn't work, mercury, for example. So that's one way of finding these things. Other ways to find things that haven't worked would include, they did a study comparing 2 different theories for 2 different, for the same population, but 2 groups. And one theory worked and one theory didn't. But those articles are pretty hard to find. So this may be a short paragraph. It could be longer, but it is most likely going to be the shortest part of your lit review. But you have to write something, even if it's a couple sentences that you did an extensive literature review and none of the journal articles talked about what did not work. So you've got to have 2 or 3 sentences at least. All right. This is probably the most interesting one. What may work from other areas in the field of counseling? So maybe you're looking at one diagnosis or issue, but you think about the symptoms of that diagnosis, and some of the symptoms are in different diagnoses or people suffering from different issues. And maybe they're doing something that helps them that you think, oh, well, that might work for this area. Or, so see if you can cross field, cross diagnose, take things that people are using for one diagnosis and apply them for the topic you're going to treat. That's a little difficult too, but you have to write something, at least a few sentences. What hasn't been used yet? And this, maybe you're into some brand new theoretical applications like positive psychology or mindfulness or things, psychological treatments in nature, or equine therapy. There's so many new things that people are doing. But they should have some journal article from a psychology or counseling journal. That's the only criteria. There should be somebody who wrote something about them. And even though they didn't use them with your topic, you think they might work. So maybe nobody's written about, nutrition and addiction and certain things, certain diets that might help people. So maybe there's not a lot out there, but you think it might help. So you have to find journal articles on the benefits of nutrition for our personal psychological well-being and different things that help different aspects of our emotional well-being. So they might not have to do with addiction, but you'd like to try them in your model. But you do have to have some journal articles that talk about them in some way. Okay, so that's the really creative part. That's the part I like. So the biggest parts are what has been done and what has worked. The creative part is what hasn't been used yet, what you'd like to add. There might be a little something you could add from other fields, and what hasn't worked is going to be the most difficult to find. So these two are the longest sections. This is the third longest section, and these two might be pretty short. Okay? And that's where you're going to end your paper. Okay? We're going to do the rest of this, the rest of the semester. And you will add your reference page. You could even make changes if you find new references, or if you read one and you're not going to include it. You have to have a minimum of 12. So if you throw one out, you got to get a new one. But at the end of this, include your reference page as well. So you're not going to do definitions, model, or proposed summary. We're going to do that after spring break. Okay, so you have your work cut out for you. It's going to be between 7 and 11 pages, depending, a minimum of 7 or 8 content pages. Okay, let's look at one more thing. We'll go to content. And Kayla Benzio is the student who allowed us to use her paper as a sample. So she also has a handout. We're going to look at that when we go over models and steps to the treatment plan. But just look at Kayla's final paper. And you can kind of get an idea of how to write about things. Even though she's writing about post-traumatic stress disorder, it's really a sample. It's a sample for APA style, language, professional writing, the outline. So you're going to, this is the title page. It's in APA style. This is the abstract. Notice it's not indented. Notice on here, R capital, H not capitalized, and the title itself, the running head, all caps. And then this is how it appears in the header with the page number. Abstract is not indented. It's about one paragraph. Read what she writes. She talks about the different sections of her article. And you're not going to refer to this as a paper, or a study. You're going to refer to this as an article. You're writing an article. All right. So she goes over the problem, the significance. You can see how she uses statistics, where she found it. That's the citation. She has multiple citations. Don't just use one for each section. You should have multiple citations. We have, this is how she included the DSM, what's been done to treat the problem, what seems to be working. That's her longest section. What has not been working, treatment from other areas, treatment that has not been tried, and that's as far as you're going to go. And then you're also going to, because we'll write the rest after spring break in steps, and then here's her references. For some reason, it should be the beginning of a new page. But this is her references. They are all in APA style as well, and they should be able to give you an example of how to write various references. Okay, so I am also, so here's the article critique that I talked about in the last video, video instructions and the Dropbox. Here's the literature review. I'm going to open that up, even though it's not due till the first Tuesday after spring break. But here's the Dropbox, and the video I'm making right now, I'm going to put right here for you to watch. I'm going to send out an email and put this in your announcement so you know exactly what to do and when it's due. And if you have any questions, please email me. We'll go over everything next Tuesday when we meet. But basically, that is what is due between now and the Tuesday after spring break. So I hope this was clear and understandable. And if you have any questions, please email me or ask me next Tuesday in class. And have fun writing this. Don't wait till the last minute. Start writing it now. That's the most important thing. Start now. All right. Thanks.